Welcome to Ginger Snapshots. Hey, this week I want to talk to you about backdrop materials and backdrop stands. Okay, so some of this may be repeated because I share a lot of the information I share kind of overlaps with each other, and one thing relates to another thing. So I'm hoping that this is not a lot of overlap when I talk about my backdrop stand system. But I don't believe I've ever talked about the fabric and the materials used. And this is something that I was really curious about, and I spent way more time than I should have trying to find the right backdrops that I wanted to buy. So let me back up and say that when I first started, what I was using was backdrops for video. And, we first started out, we bought a whole little kit from Limo Studio, and I'm not sure that's how you pronounce it, but it was, the light stands, this backdrop stands, the whole little kit, and then we bought white and black, just some basic backdrops. And we used those for the videos at the church, and they worked great for that. So then we wanted to do a few photo booths at the church. And, you wanted to have something that was kind of, for the theme, went with the theme. So Easter was one that we wanted to do. And you're not charging people for pictures, and it's, you're just not wanting to spend high dollar amounts for something that is meant to be a cute shot of your family at Christmas, or Easter. And it's not really to replace professional photography at that time anyway. And I wasn't even the photographer that was doing it. My daughter and stepdaughter both were doing photography at the time, so they were the ones that did it at different years, but they were the one that did it. So what I bought was some cheap vinyl material off of Amazon. You did a little search for Easter backdrops and found one for like $25, used it, and it worked fine. And I'm not going to say that it looked professional. Again, it looked like an Easter backdrop, but I do think they turned out pretty cute. But they did look busy, and they looked like an Easter backdrop. But that was the cute, the thing to do. And a lot of churches do that for events. They have a photo booth stand, and they even have, I've seen the cutest themes of maybe Superman. That was one another church that we are associated with. They did that, and it looked like Superman, like a building, and they had like Superman was jumping off the building, and they're just, you have the little fake mustaches, and you can do whatever you want. So that was my first experience. But what I found out right away was that material was not very expensive. It wasn't very thick. It was thin, which is easier to roll up, but that is the point. You have to keep that rolled up. So anytime you're using vinyl, you're going to have to keep it rolled, or you're going to have to deal with a lot of creases, and it can be very difficult to get those creases out. And so that was what I thought would be a problem. And so then I started, and I did like a little tiny brick one that I did a couple headshots with, and I was doing just like videos. Like right now, you're really only seeing about waist up probably, and that's all. It doesn't take that much. Now I do have a bigger backdrop, and you could back up more and get more of this, and the backdrop would be covered because I have a large enough backdrop. So you're looking at the size depends on what you're shooting. And anyways, when I started moving into doing some pictures, my self-portraits, I started doing some personal videos, ministry videos, just some different things for the church in my own office at home. And so this was the first one, I think. I bought one of the first ones, I should say. And this was a concrete with brick coming out. And this is a Kate backdrop, and this was off of Amazon as well, and it was probably about $30. You can get some of them. Once in a while you find them for like $15, $20. And I didn't have any problem with it, and compared to what I was buying and what I was using, I will say that it was way better quality. And I still don't think it's bad quality. It's nice, thick material, and you honestly, you can put this in the dryer. Get a wet washcloth, throw it in the dryer, and it remove the wrinkles. And it's not going to do any damage to it. So that's really good. Now the problem is, when I started getting into real photography, I joined groups and I talked to different people. What do you use? What are you using? I started hearing a lot of bad information about Kate backdrop, that they steal designs. Now, I can't honestly say that I have any experience with that or I know that to be true, but I know that there are other photographers that feel very strongly about it, and they advise other ones not to buy from it. But even if I decided I wanted to buy from them and I was okay with that, you're still limited in what you can buy. And I still don't feel like it's, you know, the best that you can do when you're doing professional photography. So then I had to look at different things, and I had to compare different companies. And I will try to provide links for the companies I purchased from and ones that I've looked at. And there are a lot out there. R2 Backdrop is one that I have looked at but haven't bought from. A Backdrop Outlet is one that I've looked at but haven't bought from, and that's because I've met a lot of people that that just kind of got mixed. Like, some of them think that it's great, and others like, oh, I've had the worst experience, don't go to them. So I'm kind of Lemon Backdrop. That is a good one for cake smashes. It's all vinyl, and Lemon Drop Backdrops, I believe is what the name of it is. But they're kind of smaller, and they're just, you're kind of limited there too as well. And I think if you have a certain theme that you're wanting to do for a cake smash, it's a great place to look. And they do have tons of designs. Now, I opted not to. But the companies that I looked at that I thought were really what I would be most interested in was Fancy Fabric, Baby Dream Backdrop, and Intuition Backdrops by Becky Gregory. Those three companies, and those are the ones that I have experience with. The first one I bought was Fancy Fabric, and I got what I did was I bought a cloth backdrop that was, it's a wood pattern, a dark wood pattern, and the polyprene, it's a rubber backed floor drop. So here's the floor drop, and you can see it's, you know, it's a nice wood pattern. It is darker, and it's lighter in the middle than it is on the ends, and what this is Appleseed is what it's called, and there's a woman that Appleseed Photography in Canada, and she had this was a wood background, real wood that she had stained, and she had in her studio, and she was very, very good. She stopped since then and is now a trainer, but she's a very good newborn photographer, and she was able to sell her design, and that, because I like her work so well, that was kind of why I chose that one, because I just liked the look of it. So when I got it, the floor was beautiful. I love it. Great. The material, and that's kind of the point of this video, the material for the background was great. I mean, I feel like I could take that, wad it up, throw it in the corner, and I'm going to use it, so I pull it back out and hang it up, and it's not going to have any wrinkles in it. It was very nice. But when I took a picture of it, you know, I always have my little doll. I have tons of pictures of my little doll that I try things out with, and there was just a pink color to it, and I just was not happy with it. So what they did was they did exchange it. Now, they're up front. All of the companies will tell you right up front that material and the rubber back material, the canvas, the poly paper, all of those different materials will they're printed different, and different printers, and it can be the same exact design going to them, but they're going to come out different, and that was the case. The pattern and everything on it looked exactly the same in each one, but the color was just so different that I didn't really feel comfortable using it for. And what I was looking at was for every day, like a constant use, something that was a good pattern that I could use a lot. And so they did exchange it for me. So now I have, and it was a buy one get one free. So now I actually have 3 of the same rubber backed materials. Now, part of my reason for doing this was I had that wood background, that little wood background that I had made in my room, my studio in the house, in that spare room, and people liked it, and I got a lot of requests for people to use that. The parents. Of course, it was, 4 feet high, and so they'd have to sit on the ground and take the pictures. And so I was trying to, at the time, I was trying to plan out what I was going to do when I got into my studio. And so I thought, okay, now I've got to figure out how I'm going to hang it. So this is a 2-parter, and it kind of goes, I'm kind of going back and forth in this video of material and how I'm hanging it, because it all kind of intertwines with each other. So stay with me here. So when I bought that, I knew that material was so heavy. and how was I going to hang it? Did I want to go back to using backdrop stands that I used, because I had gotten rid of using those. When I was in that spare room, I actually put some hooks on the wall and I tried using that. But here I had decided to buy a roller system, and that was what I was going to use inside the studio, was that roller system. And so finally we made the decision to do the magnet wall, or the metal wall, and that's what we have here. Because that polyprene, I'm not saying it right, that this rubberback material is so heavy, I was worried about using it, but I already had it. So you know, and to buy these, you know, I got a heck of a deal. I got a super sale, and then I got buy one get one free. So I did not pay for it, but these are about $350, I think, just to buy them by themselves. So you know, you do want to be careful with them and value them. So when we got in here, what we did was we have a 4 by 10 feet metal wall. You know, it came rolled up. We brought it home and attached it to the wall. And so my walls right here, before they start angling up, are 7 feet. So that's how high we could go. So we've got it horizontal. So, you know, going down, it's going to go 4 feet, and going this way, it's going to be 10 feet. So here we are, and I hope you can see this in the camera. I can't really tell if I'm back far enough. Yes, okay, so right here you can see the seam and see where it's screwed in. And most of the time I have a backdrop over it, so it's not going to matter. But sometimes there are times that I don't have anything there, and I do have to you know, fix this in Photoshop, maybe take out that seam, because it does show. There are some photographers that would never allow this to show, and what they've done is they've glued it to the wall. We worked so hard to get the wall smooth and everything, I just couldn't hardly stand to glue anything to the wall. And this is what it serves a purpose for. So I didn't want to have to use, when I got out here, I can and I do use that rubber floor on the wall. And I've got 100-pound magnets that I bought from Amazon, and it holds up there and it's just fine. So we can do that, but it is heavy. And at the same time, those are 5 by 7. It works great on the ground. But if you have a parent that says, I want to jump in there and I want to use a wood background, you're going to have something else. So that's where I invested in another company. There was nothing wrong with the material, with Fancy Fabric, but I just wanted something that was going to match what I already had for my floor. And so I got this, is Hamilton, I think is the name of this one. And this is from Intuition Backgrounds from Becky Gregory. And you can tell that this is a nice, like a polyester spandex kind of material. It's a little bit thicker than what Fancy Fabric was, and I like it. I do think that Fancy Fabric was a little bit less wrinkle, like it was more wrinkle resistant, I should say. And this, I don't know if you can tell in the camera, there are wrinkles in it because it has been, you know, folded up and not been steamed out. Taking a steam, you know, I've got a little steamer in here, and I can take a steamer to it, and it comes out right away. So this is great. And this works perfect, you know, and most of the time people, you can work with 7 feet walls. Now if you want to do a sweep or something like that, you're going to have to use the back wall. Okay, so third one I'm going to show you. I wanted to get a sweep, and I wasn't sure which way I wanted to go. I did end up getting, you know, this, and I had that. But there was a heck of a sale at Christmas time, and I used my Christmas money, and I bought a few things from, I'm probably too close to the light now. There was a super sale, and I wanted to buy some things from Baby Dream. Huge sale. So I bought 2 of them. I bought this one, and this was what I used in my last video. I think it's a nice neutral one. I actually like it a lot. I think you can use it with a lot of different things, and that was my goal. But you can tell this is very heavy. This is a fleece material, and so when you're ordering fleece from Baby, it's heavy, and that's good and that's bad. To me it is, because it's good because it's heavyweight. You're not going to have trouble with it, but it is heavy to hang up, and it is more to store. So the whole reason I don't care for vinyl as much is because you do have to store them rolled and standing up. And my husband is working on something for me for what I do have. But I prefer to fold these up, roll them up, put them on the shelf, and then grab them out when I want to. Well, these fleece, they take up more room. Like to fold this up, you can tell, I'm not going to take the time, but you can tell it's very thick. And so then I have one more material to show you. So that's 3 I've shown you. And then this here is, there's something called X Drop from back Westcott. And it's a nice little portable stand, X Drop, like the letter X, like xylophone X. And this hangs on it. It's just got little, you unfold it. It's in this nice, cute little bag that you take with you. I took it with me when I did a dental office in Derby. I went to their office, and you set that up, and the backdrop has little hooks on it, and you have they have grommet holes in them, and I actually got a grommet machine so that I could hang up different ones. But these are kind of a fleece material too, but they're nowhere near being as heavy as Baby Dream. They're very lightweight, and that's good because I like that. But then this one here, this gray is kind of see-through, so I actually doubled them up when I was taking pictures, because if you have any kind of light coming in from behind, it's going to show that way. So all right, so that's the materials that I wanted to talk about. Here is one more. This is a floor drop that I've got from Kate, that girl, and I got this on Amazon as well, I think. I might have bought it from the company. But this was the white wood, and this was just a 4x5, but this one's actually thicker. It's a very thick material, more so than the one from Fancy Fabric. This lays perfect. I mean, it just is perfect. And that was why I bought it. You roll it up, and I actually, eventually I want to be able to stand it up in a system that my husband's building for me. But right now they work fine to roll them up and lay them on the ground, and that's what I've done with those. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is I didn't want to have backdrop stands, and so we put the magnet wall in. The other way that you can do backdrops, and there may be other ways too that I'm not covering in this video. But when I moved out of here in the studio, I bought a roller system. And this roller system is a 4-roller system, and it really is made for seamless paper. And I don't use seamless paper very much. I have one roll up there. They are perfect for cake smashes, and they're really perfect because you can buy any color you want and work with it. But when that great Christmas sale, and I bought the Baby Dream back, I bought 2. So one of them was a sweep, and that's something I had really wanted. And you can't really do a sweep here because I can't back up far enough on this wall, because it's only really, by the time you get past my shelves, you're about 12 feet. And so you can't do a full body very easily, I should say. So the whole point is that I shoot on this back wall. And so I bought this fleece backdrop, and I didn't, not having any experience with it, I didn't realize it. But this fleece backdrop, when it hung down, it hung terrible. I did pictures of it, and then I did so much work. The first time I used that, so much work in Photoshop trying to get out the creases and trying to copy and paste or clone or whatever to make it look like it did in the middle, because there were such bad wrinkles from it. So this is what I will try to save somebody a lot of, and maybe everyone knows it but me, but I've had people that I ask them, what do you do? What do you do with your fleece backdrops if you don't have a magnet wall? Because we didn't want to put another one in. They said that they use something to secure the sides of it. Some people use chairs. We have created this little hook system, and this little hook system just kind of pulls it tight. And then I have something on the ground. So the studio has laminate floors, and it can be slippery. By the time you put a cloth or even a paper one, it could be slippery. So I use my floor mats, and I put that down, and then I put that down and run, and then pull the sweep out over it. And then what I have is this metal, and this is a metal rod that I picked up from Lowe's for like $7, and then we put some Gorilla Tape on it so that it wouldn't scratch up the floor. So what I do is I lay this on the ground, I put the backdrop on top of it, because it's a sweep, it's coming down on the ground, and then that's where somebody's going to stand. And what I did was, so you put that down. I learned this from somebody else, I didn't think this up. So you put that down, the cloth down on it. This is laying on the floor, and the cloth is here, and then you put the magnet on and it holds it down. So what we've done is we've come up with a little hook system to pull it tight at the top and this to pull it tight at the bottom, and that's what's working for me for now until I decide what I'm going to do. Canvas works, and vinyl and seamless paper works great on those roller systems. But if you are thinking about which material to buy, take that into consideration, and that's why I've included in this video. Magnet wall, you can hang really anything. You get some good magnets and you're good to go. So you really could use any kind of material and you're good. Vinyl, the problem with it is storing it, rolling it, keeping it set aside. Mine is kind of leaning in the floor, and that's why we're working on something to kind of keep better track of. I will also, the last thing I will share with you is when you're buying backdrops and you're looking at the material you're trying to decide which one to get, keep in mind that the color is going to change according to how much light is on it. And I've tried to purposely add this light so there's not as much light on this side, and then I have my model light shining on this, and I've tried to keep it off of me to where it's just going on the backdrop so you kind of get an idea of it. But you can tell because I saw pictures of people that took pictures of a gray backdrop, and it's like, was that gray? Is that dark gray? What is it? And you see that the same thing with one of my favorite colors is Thunder Gray with the seamless paper. And it all depends on if you actually have a light on the background, how far the light is from them, how much light is, the inverse square law, how much light is falling off, things like that. So that is something else to keep in mind, that when you're buying backdrops, how much light you put on it is going to change the look of it. And I think that's about it for this week. That's a lot of information. I'm actually out of breath from sharing all that. So I hope that's helpful. Like I said, when I was looking at backdrops, I just wanted to know what kind of material, what's the best material, and it's so hard to, you're ordering online and you can't just walk inside and just pull it up and pick it up. So I hope you see that they Kate backdrops, they're cloth and you can throw them in the dryer and they're not going to hurt anything. There are lots of materials that I haven't tried, which would be poly paper, Ultra Pro, all of them have different materials. The poly paper, it's something that has to be taken care of and rolled and can rip, and you can't, some of them you can use for cake smashers, some of them you can't. The fleece material photographs beautifully. The patterns come out perfect, but they are heavier. And if you're going, anytime you use a backdrop, you want to make sure that you have a way to pull it tight, and that the magnet wall is one of the most perfect ways to do it, but there are little hacks that you can do and figure out. And if you have any hacks or any ideas for me, please share with me in the comments, because I love learning new things and I'm always trying to improve what I'm doing in the studio. So I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Bye.